Okay, guys, how's it going? This is the Three Spirits patch update overview. Name's Quadron. I run a YouTube channel called Quadron TV. I'm going to be going over the major things that they added, Valve added to the Dota 2, and things that they changed, as well as the two heroes that they added. I have gone into Dota 2 test, and I can explain the basic abilities of each of the heroes. Obviously, Storm Spirit's in here. I believe he just got a reskin. Nothing was changed about his abilities, so I'm not going to go over that. Earth Spirit is kind of a mix of Tiny and probably a Tuskar would be the best way to describe him. He's got a Boulder Smash. This thing launches something backwards, so it can be an enemy, an ally, and it basically throws them 800 units backwards, and it silences them and does 250 damage. It silences them for 5 seconds, which is pretty insane. Rolling Boulder does a 80% slow for 2 seconds, and you go really fast in a Rolling Boulder. This does not, I believe, bring any allies with you. Geomagnetic Grip is the third ability, and you can basically suck an ally unit or Stone Remnant. And Stone Remnants are basically things that Earth Spirit calls down, and he can plop it down in front of you. He can punch that sucker, and it goes towards whatever it is that he's facing. And if it hits something, it silences them. And he can then suck that Stone Remnant back at him using Geomagnetic Grip, and that can then stun someone. So if you Geomagnetic Grip somebody and pulls them towards him, it stuns them for a maximum of 2.5 seconds. So he throws the boulder out, for example, pulls it back in, and silences them and stuns them. And then he rolling boulders in and slows them for 80 seconds, or 80% for 2 seconds. It's a really cool combo. Magnetize is a ability that deals damage over time to enemy heroes in a small area. And so the way Magnetize works is you cast it, and it's only affects the heroes very nearby, and it does 600 damage to any hero that is magnetized. And then any hero that's magnetized can be refreshed. For example, if they go near a Stone Remnant, they will be remagnetized again. And then anyone who was originally magnetized in the initial ulti during that first 6 seconds, if any of them get near Stone Remnant, then they can also potentially be stunned, silenced, or silenced or slowed from like effects of Rolling Boulder and Boulder Smash. So potentially an insane solo wombo combo coming out from Earth Spirit. His ulti does do a lot of damage over time, but it could be continual damage and a lot of it, and a lot of slows, stuns, and silences coming out of Earth Spirit. So really fun, cool looking hero, and I can't wait to play him. Now Ember Spirit, I would describe him as being kind of like a Juggernaut mixed with a Radiance. I don't know. So Searing Chains is basically, it unleashes fiery bolas that anchor enemies in place and deal damage per second. It does 300 damage per second at max level. Sleight of Fist attacks all nearby enemies in a rush. So basically it does one attack for every enemy inside of an AoE that is huge. It's 550, so it's this giant circle, and it does one attack to all of them, and it goes basically like a Jug ulti, sink, 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 and then comes back. And so if you have a Daedalus, you can potentially crit on every single attack for each target. So the Sleight of Fist is pretty insane, and it also does have I think it's a 6-second cooldown for Sleight of Fist and an 8-second cooldown for Searing Chains. So a really low cooldown on a potentially crushing ability, like really, really cool. Flame Guard is basically a thing that protects him while doing damage to others in a Radiance style fashion. It can protect up to 500 magic damage. At very low levels it does very little protection, but the higher level you go, it does more and more burn damage as well as more and more protection. So a maximum of 60 burn damage per second, as well as a 500 magic protection shield. And if that shield is ever dissipated, then the burn damage also goes away. So if he pops it and you Laguna Blade him, the Flame Guard is just going to immediately go away, and there's no burn damage. So that's kind of the idea of it. Now, Fire Remnant, he casts it with his ultimate, and he can have up to 3 of them out. As soon as the 3 of them are deployed, he can jump from Fire Remnant to Fire Remnant to Fire Remnant, and each Fire Remnant does 200 damage in an AoE. So he casts them all 3 on top of a group of heroes. He does 600 AoE damage. He does Sleight of Fists, and then he attacks all of them, Flame Guards them, does Radiance damage, basically, and then he can Searing Chains 2 of them, and all in the middle. So that's Ember Spirit. Basic overview. I'm going to be doing detailed guides on Earth Spirit and Ember Spirit later on after I've had a chance to play him, play them both some more, and also I'd love to watch some pros and maybe break down some pro games playing both Ember Spirit and Earth Spirit. So moving on with the new changes and updates that I'm super excited about. First of all, in-game coaching. There's going to be a way to help your friends learn Dota. You know, there's a lot of Dota 2 is a really intimidating game to learn, and this is a way for you to help teach them. You can basically, you're like in spectator mode, and you go around and you can draw on the map and actually say, hey, go over here, do this, you're missing this, and you can talk to them with your voice. You can only see what that team can see, and you can potentially do this with up to 5 players, so 1 coach for 5 players directing a team, almost like a commander in like a military sense, but most likely it's probably just going to be to help train people out. And this is not going to be available in tournaments, so you can't have like a coach saying, hey, everyone push mid for like, you know, Navi or Alliance or anything like that. So this is all just going to be learning. You can do this in pubs, so you can do a 6-man party now with 1 of you as a coach and 5 of you playing. And so that's basically the in-game coaching. Crafting and socketing. So crafting is a way that you can combine unwanted items and use a polymorph recipe. So you can combine several different items of the same rarity into a whole new item, and that's the polymorph. And then augment recipe, you combine 2 items of the same type, like so do 2 duplicate items and create a new item that's a higher rarity. So 2 commons into an uncommon, or 2 rares into maybe like a mythical or something like that. To get these, you have to go to these ancient scroll cases, and that's where you find these recipes. So still not sure quite how we find these ancient scroll cases, but we might have to pay for them, like you know, a chest key or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Socketing. This is one of my favorite things about this new patch that's coming out, is socketing. This allows you to personalize your items by inserting gems into these sockets. Each item has 5 different sockets, and you can do things like particle effects, change the color of the particle effects, add strange modifiers, which are what they used to be called. Now they're called, what are they called? Let's see here. They're called inscribed gems, so now you can keep track of stats like Sunstrike kills and First Bloods and stuff like that by putting those in. And so that's socketing, and it's going to be, I think, a pretty big deal and really cool. There's a couple other types of gems. Let's go over the gem types real quick. Kinetic Gems adds a new animation to the hero, so maybe like Puck's Waning Rift animation would probably be a kinetic gem. Or like Juggernaut maybe has a different spinning blade, kind of. I don't know, that's probably imbued inside the type of sword, but that the Puck animation is probably legitimate. The Kunkka Whale blade animation, that would probably be one of these kinetic gems as well, so that the whale tail comes out whenever he does a whatever it's called. I'm gonna move on. Inscribed gems, that's the old strange system, so tracking First Blood, Godlikes, and stuff like that. Ethereal adds a particle effect to the item, and unusual effects can now be colorized, so you can, you know, colorize different things. And for example, I think it'd be really cool if they did an item like a Cloak on Nature's Prophet, where like leaves are coming off of his stuff, or I don't know, and then you could colorize it to make it like pink. I don't know. There'd be lots of really cool potential. Maybe like a fiery effect on like an Exhort Invoker would be for another example of something that would be really cool. Prismatic Gems colorizes the particle effect. Ascendant Gems, the Ascendant Orb, Gem of Tardaruk, and Bloodstones are now Ascendant Gems. These, I believe, we all received a Bloodstone for the with the compendium with TI3. If you bought a compendium, I believe you got a Bloodstone, so you can infuse 1 item to make it an Ascendant item, I believe. Autographed runes, so you can get your items autographed by up to 5 players, so you can have 1 item autographed by an entire team. That'd be pretty sweet. Spectator gems, items that previously tracked games viewed now contain spectator gems. So the IPL courier, that's the spectator gem right there, basically. So the more games you spectate within a tournament, for example, the more upgraded the courier becomes. So that's basically it for the patch. This is just saying that the inscribed gems are replacing strange items, and this is saying how the gems are replacing the unusual paint and colors. So I think there might be a couple other changes. Okay, so right here, lane picker is added to the hero selection screen, so you might be able to say, hey, I'm going mid, I'm going top, as well as selecting your hero, so you maybe have a little more coordination in those all pick games. You can now invite to trade from within Dota 2, so no more of those awkward, like I added him to trade, but now he's inviting me, and he only has 50 wins. This is kind of... No, I don't want to do that. So you don't have to deal with those kinds of moments anymore. Games that are a part of a best of series are now grouped together and spoiler free. This is like a godsend. I'm so frustrated like going into a tournament and it's like, oh, it's a best of 5 and there's only 3 games. I guess that means one team dominated the other. So the moment you know which team won, you already know the results of the series. So this is really cool. I like that. And I believe the colorblind option is added. That's kind of cool. My dad is actually colorblind, so that's a pretty cool option. Maybe it'll help him if he ever decides to get into Dota 2. But I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that are colorblind. Predominantly males are colorblind, but yeah, that'll be like, I think it's like 20% of males are affected by colorblindness in some way. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably wrong. Moving on. Added last hit training. I have done a lot of last hit training with Shadow Fiend, and so maybe this is like last hit training that you know, maybe it's kind of emulating that, like saying, hey, these are the possible amount of last hits you could have had, and this is how many you got. Almost like a little mini game. I would really like that. That'd actually be really cool. You could take whatever hero you wanted to practice with, and do that. So low priority penalty is now changed from a time base to games played base, and I like that a lot because it means that those assholes that are like bothering you like crazy, that just take a day off when they get low priority or 2 days off, they now have to like go low priority for the next 10 games. So that means even if they wait a week, they're still going to be in low priority when they come back, and I think that's pretty cool. So just add a few sound effects, nothing really a big deal there. And I think the only other thing, let's see, did I skip anything up here? Oh, showcase view. So this is potentially really cool. Appreciate Dota 2 in a new way. Zoom into the field and admire your hero from a new perspective. Kind of get an eyes, heads level view down into the middle of the action and maybe see some really cool stuff. I can't wait to see maybe what people make for YouTube videos using this showcase view. Or if it just makes it a lot cooler to spectate games, that could also be really cool. Player items. These are going to be player specific, like player sponsored almost sets where you buy that set and it benefits the player directly. The unlock new treasures is, so there's basically 3 new chests and they're going to have new items and we don't know what's in them yet. At least I don't think we do. Not that I'm aware of. So I look forward to seeing what's in those chests. And that is the entire update, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in more Dota 2 content, particularly guides or just straight gameplay videos, be sure to check out my YouTube over at youtube.com/QuadronTV. And if you want to check out my stream, it's twitch.tv/QuadronTV. Guys, that's it for the 3 Spirits update patch overview, and I will see you guys later.